Welcome back to the Creighton Basketball Newsletter. I'm Jon Nyatawa with the World-Herald, with you after, I don't know, a couple weeks. Let's just call it a couple weeks since I last recorded one of these videos to talk about Creighton hoops. I'm glad to be back. It's been a busy summer on a number of fronts for the Jays, and I think the excitement's starting to build for a young team that, well, we don't know fully what to expect from this group, but there's certainly a lot of talent, and that's been proven. Three guys, Arthur Kaluma, Ryan Nembhard, Kalkbrenner, all three of those guys played overseas ball this summer and had moments where they looked really impressive. So I wrote a little bit about that today in the written version of this newsletter, so check that out. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the newsletter, we're back at you. Like I said, we're going to be bringing these to you on a regular basis again after a little hiatus there in June. So sign up for the newsletter, omaha.com/newsletters, and you can just click the little button and boom, the newsletter is going to appear in your email inbox. So like I said, those three guys were impressive, and they all had moments, Kaluma, Kalkbrenner, and Nembhard. But I think maybe the news of the day at this point, recording this on a Monday this week, is that the Jays actually for next season, the 2021-2022 roster, they're in the mix to potentially add a player. They do have one available roster spot, one available scholarship for next year's team, and wow, they're among many contenders for this transfer. Kevin O'Banner from Oral Roberts, they do have a shot. He is a 6'8" forward, versatile guy who announced this week that his I guess it was over the weekend that his top 10 list, his 10 schools finalists. One of them is Creighton, and so he'll have more to sort through as he makes his decision. It's obviously sort of late in the recruiting process, but that's kind of a byproduct of the NBA draft being pushed back so far. It hasn't happened yet. Obviously, later this month, it's going to take place about a month late. And so that kind of delayed some of the decision, the process for some guys like Kevin O'Banner, who dipped his toe in, tested the waters, got some feedback, and decided, I'm going to do one more year of school. And so he decides, but it's not going to be at Oral Roberts, where he started. I mean, he averaged 18 and 9 last year as a junior. A career 42% three-point shooter. Like, I've seen this guy in person, actually. So was Creighton. He and Oral Roberts played the Jays in the 1920 season. And I think the Jays actually handled him pretty good, but I remember being at some of those practices, and the respect that they had for his jump shot was immense. So they know exactly what kind of player he is, and he has the potential to help anyone at the high major level. So it's why when you look at his list of suitors, the schools that he's still considering, he's really a highly sought after dude, and he's got a lot of potential to help. So he's one guy to watch. The other guy to watch, according to John Rothstein, Moussa Cisse is a 6'10" big man. Another guy who considered the NBA draft route, but decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to school for a bit. And he also entered the transfer portal, and he apparently is considering Creighton as well. Rothstein reported that the Jays are one of 5 schools that are showing interest, and so, who knows where we are in terms of the process of when those decisions are actually going to get made. But Moussa Cisse is the guy to watch. The AAC Freshman of the Year, actually, averaged 6 points, 6 rebounds per game. Like I said, 6'10" center. I mean, he's a guy, I think, from what I understand, has been on the Jays' radar since before he got to Memphis and debuted for the Tigers and had success as a freshman. But he ultimately chose to go that route, but now he's in the transfer portal. So we'll see if the Jays can add to the roster. Like I said, they only have one spot available, so it's possible they could find the right fit here, or maybe they just settle with the group that they have right now. Currently, 12 players on scholarship, but if you look at it through the NCAA lens, it's actually 11 because Alex O'Connell is using his extra COVID year as a fifth-year senior. And so he doesn't count against your total team amount, your total team allotment, which normally is 13, but as I'm sure many of you know, Creighton self-imposed some sanctions as it relates to the NCAA violations. The decision was announced last month that the Jays are going to void a scholarship this year and next year. So their total is at 12. So long-winded way of saying the Jays can have one more guy on next year's team. And so we'll see if they fill that roster spot with the transfer here in the coming weeks. Otherwise, they're going to keep at it and keep working behind the scenes in workouts. It's an important summer for this team. Like I said, it's a young group. So they've got to kind of mesh and gel together and learn the ropes. The system chemistry has been so important for this program, chemistry, culture, and they can establish a lot of those things. Actually talking to Ryan Kalkbrenner before he left the U.S. to go to Latvia and play with the under-19 squad, which won gold, by the way. Congrats to Ryan Kalkbrenner. One of the things he said, though, about the Jays was that this summer was one of their emphasis was from a guy like him who is a quote unquote leader as a sophomore. I mean, he has more experience than a lot of the guys on the roster, at least in this program, was they really wanted to dive into that sort of, hey, we got to bond together. We got to learn about each other on and off the court. And he said it was easy this summer because there's really not a lot of students on campus. It's really just them. And so they're forced almost by default to hang out with one another. But it's been good. And now, obviously, Arthur Kaluma, Ryan Nembhard will all come back and rejoin the squad, and they can kind of get back to what they were doing after a couple of weeks of those guys being overseas and competing for their junior national teams, or in the case of Arthur Kaluma, the senior national team with Uganda. So that'll probably do it for this video today. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for reading. If you've subscribed, again, I appreciate that. But if not, do it. It's a really easy way for you to get some extra Jays tidbits and analysis and insight from me, yours truly. Like I said, it's a year-round product, Jays basketball, obviously, and the interest is growing. Creighton coming off 2 of its most successful seasons in school history. A little bit of a reload, perhaps a rebuild right now going on, but we'll see what they can put together and how they maximize these the coming weeks as a team. And maybe, like I said, there's one more player that they're looking to add for next year. So again, thanks for your time. I'm Jon Nyatawa. We'll be back at you next week.